So in this lesson, what we would be exploring into detail is to do with personalization and memory. So you remember where we went to the settings and there were a couple of things that we could have done to make the model really know who we are, which is this tab. And in this tab, there are certain things that you can set here where I want to just use this opportunity to address that. So under personalization in settings, you have the option to give ChatGPT your custom instructions, additional behavior, style, tone, and preferences, whatever way you see fit. And you also have a section that is called About You that allows you to get the model to be referring to you as a human being. So, what should ChatGPT call you? And it probably wants to know what your occupation is so that whatever responses it gives you, it's always going to be grounded from that line of thinking. That's if you're asking it anything related to your work. And you probably also want to give it more about you. That way, it means it will try as much as possible to emulate you and give you things that are in the tone, shape, and format that resembles the way you would have normally done it on your own. And then we also have a section called memory. Memory basically is what does ChatGPT remember about you from all your conversations, and how can you use that from time to time whenever you decide to interact with it. And this manage button brings you into a pool of everything that ChatGPT has actually saved to its memory about you or whatever conversations. And this is normally initiated in a chat. So when you're having a chat with ChatGPT and you specifically tell it, I need you to remember this, then that's how that comes here. So whenever you have a chat with ChatGPT, what it does is in its processes, it would always make sure that it comes here first to get up to speed with all the memory, and then that gives it the opportunity to give you an informed reply. Well, before we go into customizing this, I just want to highlight a quick difference in the free version and the pro version. I haven't been demoing with the pro version because that's the one I use, and there's a lot of personal things in there, which I don't mind sharing some of them so you can actually see how the difference is. So in the free version, we have this drop down here, which allows you to choose how you want the model to be. Do you want it to be more aggressive? Do you want it to be more accurate, more fast, more smart? But in the free version, you don't have that here. And when you come to this option as well, when you use the forward slash, these are the options you get. In contrast, if we also in the free version, obviously you can't add conversations to a project, and you probably also can't create a project, even though it lets you, but you wouldn't be able to use it. So I am just going to quickly show the difference between that and this. So in my pro account, so this is the plus, you can see I have a chat here. Now over here, you can see that there's a difference because I'm in a pro mode. I'm already in a chat and I don't have the option here to change the model. But when I engage the forward slash here, I have the option to actually not there. When you go to thinking and you go to configure, I have the option to choose what of the models I want to use. And all of these have their own great potential and how smart they are. And you have a lot more to configure here when it comes to intelligence. And also when it comes to projects, for instance, if I just expand my projects, you can see, for instance, this project that I have here, which is about Udemy, like this specific course I'm building. You can see that I have this project and I have all the chats that I have had with ChatGPT all into one space. So you see that everything here is to do with the Udemy course. So other projects will have other things. Now, in the project, you have the option to also have sources. So whatever knowledge documents that are related to this project, you can bring them all in here. And whenever you engage with anything related to this project, you have to come to this project to create a new chat, and then it would make sure that it uses all the resources available to it. So now we can go back to the free version where we are going to configure the personalization and memory. So when it comes to personalization, you remember we said we were going to use a context like a company called Brightspark. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume we're using that Brightspark. Let's say I am an employee of Brightspark and I want to use ChatGPT to make my life easier from a professional perspective. So let's say we want to personalize this. So when it comes to custom instructions, first, I'd say I wanted to have a specific custom instruction on how it goes about doing its business whenever I interact with it. So what I'll do is I have some custom instructions that I can actually just copy and paste. You have access to this in your course materials and you can just follow along if you want. Let me see if I have this copied. Yeah, so I have this copied and I'm just going to bring it here. So this is my custom instructions. I'm basically telling it to respond in a specific way. And whenever I give it rough notes, it needs to help me turn them into structured workplace outputs such as emails, summaries, action lists, bullet points, meeting follow-ups, and all that. And I'm telling it to not invent important facts because I don't want it to hallucinate. If there are details missing, it should ask me for clarification. Because ideally, if I was working as a human being and I'm doing anything like this and I need clarification, I'll definitely ask whoever I'm working with for clarification. And I need it to treat all its outputs to be a draft so that a human can review and it's never going to be final. So it should know some of those things from a custom instruction perspective. So if this is saved, it means whenever I interact with ChatGPT, that would mean that it would always make sure that it follows its instructions. Now, next, we will go to About You. I'd say it should always refer to me as Collins. And let's say occupation wise, again, like I said, since we said we are working with a company called Brightspark, and Brightspark, let's say Brightspark is a company that is outsourcing services to other people, whether it's to do with tech, whether it's to do with human resource and all that. Let's say it's just a mid-sized company that provides business support services to corporate clients, and its teams help clients and internal stakeholders with recurring office workflows such as customer support coordination, service requests, and a whole lot of that, right? So based on that, let's just assume I am one of one of the employees in there. Let's say I am an administrative support technician, right? So if I let me see if I have that, so I can just copy that as well. Yeah, let's say my occupation in this company is business operations manager. And when it comes to letting the model know more about me in terms of my interests, my values, or preferences to keep in mind whenever it's interacting with me, I would probably give it another specific instruction about me. I have that in the resource. I'm just going to copy and paste that as well. And what I just paste there is about me, and I'm just letting the model know that I work in a non-technical office role at this company as a business support services, which is a business support service company. And I let it know what my day-to-day work includes, the emails and meeting notes and internal updates, and all this reporting and all that. And I also let it know that I am a beginner to intermediate AI user, and I want practical help with everyday office tasks in plain English. So at least we've given it some more information about how I wanted to assume me. So whenever I interact with it, all these are going to be taken into account. Now that we have that set up, I'm just going to click save. So we have personalized our ChatGPT. The next thing I'll talk about is to do with memory. Memory, this is where whatever you want the model to variably remember about your conversations with it, it all gets saved here. Now, at the moment, it's disabled, and we need to disable it. We need to enable it. To enable it, all we need to do is to turn this on. And once that's turned on, we have the option to make sure that we have information here. So now that I've turned it on, I have already gotten a saved memory, which says plans to use ChatGPT for work. Do you remember when we signed up and we were asked how do we want to use ChatGPT and we chose work? It has already committed that to memory to know that we are actually going to use ChatGPT for work. What are some other ways to get more memories to come in here? So to get ChatGPT to remember, you need to initiate that in the chat. So I'm just going to demo that now. So we have all that saved, and we'll come out of that, and then we'll just go to a new chat. And in this new chat, we'll basically just interact with it and see if we can get it to save or commit something to the memory. Again, we're in the same context with BrightSpark, and let's say we wanted to remember something. Now, for you to remember something, all you have to do is, before anything you ask it, make sure you use a phrase, remember this for future chats. So sort of like this. I'm just going to copy this. Remember this for future chats. And then whatever you type afterwards, it would make sure that it commits to memory. But obviously, ideally, you don't want to just start off with that. You want to have a conversation ongoing and then make sure that you get to somewhere that you feel the conversation has been worth your time. And then you get it to remember whatever you needed to remember. So I'm just going to come out of this and we'll just try and have a simple, meaningful conversation. So let's say we have, what do you know about creating powerful business operation reports? Yeah, and we're not going to waste so much time on this, but these are some of the reports that it's letting me know that it knows about. And what I want to just get it to commit to memory is that, let's say, out of the things that it's telling me about what it knows about report, I'll let it know that maybe there are some specific tools that I would like it to be always using whenever it's generating a report to me. So I normally like all my reports to be in a PDF format only after we have confirmed all the nitty gritty. Yeah, so that's a very practical approach and it helps avoid all of that, blah, blah, blah. So let's say I wanted to make sure that it's always remember this. So I'm just going to copy this. That I have here, which is in our context. So I wanted to remember this for future chats. When I ask for workplace examples, assume that we are always working with this company and this company has whatever, and we want outputs in this whatever, and we also want it to remember also remember the confirmation I gave you in this chat regarding how I want my reports. So I wanted to remember this because I'll be using this chat to be doing a lot of work stuff. So I don't want to always be giving it a context to say, oh, I work at this company and we do this and all that. And I don't want to always be repeating myself to tell it that, okay, I want the output this way. And I'm not heavily endowed with all the complex, jargons, all that. So when I use this, remember this and all that, and I hit send, you'd realize that what it's going to do is that it's going to understand it, and then we have this command saying updated memory. So that's understood. So what we can do now is we can go back to settings, and we can go back to personalization, and we can go back to memory, and we'll go to manage, and you can see all what we just got there. So it knows that in memory, I prefer my reports to be editable during when we're reviewing it, and then finally we get into PDF, and it knows where I work and all that. So now I don't have to be repeatedly telling it all these things. It knows this in memory. So that's all to do with personalization and memory. We'll move on to the next lesson where we will get more into data privacy and how to make sure that the information is not going elsewhere.